Okay, let's wait for a couple of people to join before we start. Even if it means we start a little bit late and try to rush through the information, it's better than starting and there's nobody, you know what I mean? So let's rather do that 3, 4, gives me extra time to prepare. 4 and 5, women's issues, women's financial issues, cultural, personal, societal, personal, how we create, control, and direct our finances, honey. 3 questions we should all ask. Is anyone here? Can I just get a sign that I can start? This worries me. I just want a signal from anybody that I can start, and I'll go ahead. Let me just text Hilda quickly. I'm not being rude. Okay, let's see. Okay. Either way, at 10 past, I'm starting because I've got a meeting. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, a sign, something, anything. Okay, cool. All right. Hi, guys. Why don't you say anything? I'm busy. There are 56 people watching. You guys are watching that just going on like a mad woman. Anyway, I hope you guys are all well. We've already we are 6 minutes into it. So let me just not waste any more time. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Samke Mhlongo-Ngwenya. I hope you're going to connect with me after this as well. So Instagram, for those of you that are on Instagram, at justsamke.com, spelled out. On Twitter is the same. And then on LinkedIn and Facebook, it's my name and surname, _Tani. All right, so let's go through today's agenda quickly. Now, today's agenda is going to look at 5 key topics, and then I'm going to leave some time for Q&As. I received a whole lot of questions from the team at She Leads Africa. Thank you so much to those that submitted their questions. I'm going to try to get through as many as I can. And if I can't do it while we're on here, I will make sure to do it on my social media accounts. So the first thing we're going to talk about is managing your money. I want to spend like just 5 minutes on that, talking all things managing your money. And after that, I want to spend 10 minutes on career, because I actually had a lot of people asking me for career advice and career tips on negotiating your side hustle, for instance, which is what I did. Studying further while you are employed, which is what I did. So I'm going to spend about 10 minutes on that, and I'm going to give you my 3 key lessons from the 3 key milestones in my career, and hopefully that'll help you too. I'm then going to spend 10 minutes on entrepreneurship. Now, I'm in a privileged position in that I used to bank entrepreneurs when I was with Investec Private Bank. I used to advise entrepreneurs and sit in their strategic boards as part of our entrepreneurship development program that we ran together with Race Corp, which is a South African, it's not an incubation hub, they hate the word incubation, but it's basically a strategic direction hub, and hub that helps entrepreneurs level up. And then I'm now an entrepreneur myself. So I'm going to give you the top 3 lessons from the different hats I've worn in the world of entrepreneurship. I'm then going to spend 10 minutes on investments, and I'm going to give you what I consider to be a universal principle of investments, because I've had people asking me about investing in Accra, investing in Lagos, Zimbabwe, and I'm like, I have no idea, honey. But there must be a universal principle that applies that I can share with you so that you can make the necessary decisions in terms of what investment makes sense, right? So I'm going to spend 10 minutes on that. We're going to touch, of course, on women's financial issues. I'm a financial inclusion advocate. I did my MBA thesis on factors contributing to over-indebtedness of Black South African females, because they are the most over-indebted population group in our country. So trust, I was not going to spend an hour with y'all and not talk about our issues, okay? So we're going to spend 5 minutes on that, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&As. I hope that sounds good. let's get into the managing your money. Let me start my timer, otherwise we are going to be here till Tuesday, I promise you. Righty. Okay. So, managing your money. I am not going to tell you live within your means because you know that. I am not going to tell you you need to start saving because you know that. I am not going to tell you you need to stop spending, etc., because you know that. But people say to me, and a lot of the feedback from the questions as well is, well, how do I create capacity? I found that even when I was doing my MBA study, a lot of the people that I interviewed had the requisite financial literacy to actually budget and understand how finances work, incomes and outflows. So that wasn't the issue. The issue was more around, I've got all these obligations, I don't know how to manage them. Or maybe over time, I get into more and more debt and I don't know how to get out of it. Or I really need to increase my means, because a lot of people when we talk, and bankers and financial advisors, when we talk managing money, they talk cutting your outflows, they don't talk increasing your inflows. And it's a two-pronged approach to creating wealth and managing your money. So why do we enter into economic activity? Why do we go to work? Because we want to make money to create wealth, to protect our lifestyles, to maybe even have the freedom to do what we want to do. So with that in mind, all right, how do we then make sure we achieve our financial goals? First of all, I'd like to ask, do you prepare financials for yourself? Now, a lot of people that were my clients were chartered accountants. Some of them were financial managers, financial directors of companies. They know how to prepare consolidated group statements. Forget just for one company, honey. Forget just for one division. Consolidated group. But when I sent them a personal financials to complete for themselves, they couldn't do it. Why? And how do companies measure performance? They look at budgeted versus actual. They set a goal for the year. They review their financials, maybe quarterly. They even present results. Those listed companies present results quarterly, biannually, annually, and they measure their performance against what they had budgeted to and what they actually did. Why don't we do the same with our personal finances? Why don't we do that? So if you've set a goal for yourself, that's good and fine. But if you haven't put in measures to measure and track where you are relative to that goal, you're not going to meet it. So tip number one for managing your money, prepare your own personal financials. Lucky for you, I have included an income statement in the worksheet that you're going to get from She Leads Africa. They will provide you with a link to download that worksheet. And I would say, complete that right now. Look at your bank statements for clues as to what you spend on how much you spend on what. So there's line items literally for your salary, other income, as well, like rent, etc. Then there's a line item for your deductions, for your rent or your bond, your car, petrol and vehicle maintenance, insurance, phone, shopping, clothing, education, everything is included in there. You can add your own if you want. I mean, DSTV is even in there, okay? So how much you're spending on all those line items, then you'll have a realistic picture of your inflows and your outflows. That is included in the worksheet. Then what you can do is say, what would I like my income statement to look like? Okay, what do I want it to look like? So then you do a targeted almost income statement for yourself. So in the short term, you can't really change your inflows. In the medium to long term, you can. We'll chat a little bit about it in the career section. So then how do I minimize my outflows while I'm working towards creating the surplus, this bottom line, this capacity for me to save and invest? You can't save and invest if you don't have a surplus to save and invest. So that worksheet, you will then, or that income statement, you will then take and do, whether you choose to do a monthly review, a quarterly review, I wouldn't say wait longer than 3 months to just track where you are and see how close you're getting in terms of your budgeted income statement to your actual. That will help you manage your money, as simple as that. Many people think they need financial advisor intervention, they need banker intervention. Honey, let me tell you, I was a banker for 7 years. We just use big words to justify our existence. You know how to manage your finances. When you look in the mirror, you know when you've been guilty. Purchaser's remorse, maybe. When you've had a bad day, gone and bought the pair of shoes that you know you haven't budgeted for and you shouldn't have. Yes. So my tip for managing money, make sure You do a personal income statement. You do a periodic review. You try and get your actual as close as possible to your budgeted. We've included it in the worksheet for you. Now that we've spoken about in the short term how you're going to manage the outflows, let's move on to the career section and talk about how we create multiple income streams, how we negotiate for that promotion, we negotiate to study further while in full-time employment, etc. So, section 2. A little bit about myself. I don't know if you guys saw the profile. It's a little bit weird talking about yourself. But basically, I was with Investec Private Bank for 7 years. I joined in 2010. And honey, I started right at the bottom, okay? I mean, no, I'm not going to do it. I know you guys are thinking I'm going to now be here. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall for it. But I really started at the bottom and I worked my way up and navigated my work up in South Africa's most prestigious private bank, a difficult organization. A lot of people say at Investec either last 6 months or 6 years. And so there are a number of things that I had to do and get out of my comfort zone for me to be able to negotiate the growth in my career to the point where now as an entrepreneur, I actually have a contract with Investec. Investec pays me, honey, as an entrepreneur. So I turned my employer into my client. Look at God. So let me take you through 3 key milestones in my career and the 3 key lessons I learned from that. Number 1, joining Investec. When I joined Investec, I had my BCom accounts. I'd done 18 months of articles. Yes, I'm a failed CA. I'm happy, thanks. And I was just like, okay, I've had some work experience. Clearly, I should be entering sort of junior management level. And I'm Black female in South Africa. You want me, you get BE points. Honey, let me tell you, okay? I started at Investec checking signatures from clients' instructions against the system to check that they're the same. You think maybe there's some fancy app that matches and that. No, this was before voice recognition, biometrics, honey. I used to open it up on my laptop, open up what we have in the system, make a judgment call on whether they're the same or not. And then I would then direct the instruction to the right team to process. So whether it's money movement, whether it's opening up a new account, etc., etc. So it was really hurtful for the ego. And I'm ex-UCT, University of Cape Town, so holla back if you're from UCT. And if anyone knows, like Investec is like UCT alumni hub. And it felt a little bit sore when I was seeing some of my ex-classmates in better positions than me. I felt like a little bit of a failure. You know, I had baby in varsity, so there was also that thing I was carrying that I need to play catch up. But long story short, the lesson I learned from joining Investec was join the right organization. It doesn't matter where. That's the lesson. As long as you're getting into the right organization that's got growth potential for you, that's got exposure for you, honey, it doesn't matter where you start. Get a foot in the door and you will work your way up. Number 2, I then moved into a role where I was an admin assistant to the primary bankers before moving to the primary banker role. Now, by the time I moved into the admin assistant role, I was already like, I'm behind where I wanted to be. I'm not on track in terms of my career aspirations. So what I did, without knowing that I'm formally doing it, was that I started pushing to do everything that the primary bankers were doing. So I wanted to go and present a deal to credit like the primary bankers do. I would run with it from the client application to asking the right questions, to putting the pack together, to presenting to credit the merits of the deal and why I think it should be approved or declined before I was given the role. So what lesson did I learn from that? Live the role you want before it is given to you. You do not have to wait for you to be given that trader role, that manager role, before you start living it. If you show leadership qualities, if you show influence in your team, when it is time for a manager to be appointed, trust me, your name will be up there. Management in corporate does look at the softer factors of employees, not just the hard KPIs, the measurables, but also how often do you go above and beyond? What influence do you have? Because remember, influence doesn't need a title. So I would say lesson 2 is live the role you want before it is even offered to you. And that is a sure way to increase your chances of getting it. Lesson number 3. I then decided that after everything the organization had done for me, they paid for me to do my postgraduate diploma in management, I'd had a baby, they'd given me pay when I was on maternity leave, I'd moved within the organization, I'd moved from UK banking, where I was checking signatures, honey, to being the primary banker's admin assistant, sort of, and and being promoted to primary banker. And I was like, that's still not enough. I want to do an MBA. So I remember in the first year after completing my postgrad diploma in management, I went to our national head and I said, I want to do my MBA and I want you to pay. He's like, Sam, you just completed your PDM a year ago, really, just slow down. And I was like, okay. He's like, you're not ready, just wait a little bit. So at the end of that year, I decided I'm not going to wait any longer. I registered for my MBA without telling anyone. Honey, I didn't even tell my husband at the time. Maybe that's why he's an ex now. Ooh. And I didn't tell my managers. I didn't tell my husband. I told nobody. I just registered. And because I'd done the postgrad, within the past 2 years of registration, I didn't have to sit my GMAT. So one day board online resulted in an email saying, welcome to the MBA program at FITS. Oh, crap. Okay. Then I told my mom, and my mom was like, fantastic. I'll pay your reg fees. So now I've paid reg fees. I don't know how I'm going to pay for the full 2 years. I don't know if my management is going to say yes or no. But let me tell you something, honey. This is where lesson number 3 fits in. You would rather ask for forgiveness than for permission. So when I went to my management, I was like, I've kind of been accepted for an MBA. Oops. Same thing I said to my husband. Dealt with the consequences later. I knew I wanted that MBA, and I knew I wanted no one to stop me, and I knew I didn't want anyone to give me permission. I was going to do it. And guess what? I did it. And I was class rep, and I had a bomb fresh thesis, and it resulted in me being an entrepreneur. Who wins? I win. Sorry, everybody. So, summary of the 3 key lessons. 1, get into the right organization. It doesn't matter where. 2, live the role you want before it is offered to you, and that'll increase your chances of getting it. 3, rather ask for forgiveness than for permission. I'm gonna take a sip of water right here. I know I'm using a champagne glass. It's crystal. Okay, now we're moving on to the 3rd topic of entrepreneurship, because I did tell you that, well, I managed to convert my employer to my client. Let me tell you about entrepreneurship. So I was lucky, as mentioned, to have banked entrepreneurs when I was a banker. And so I could look at what the bankers look for, you know, the finances, the investors, etc. And I'll talk about that a little bit offline. I want to focus on something else today. Then I also had the opportunity of being on the board of about, I think it was a total of 4 to 6 companies as part of the InvestTech Raise Corp Acumen program. So I could see some of the pitfalls of the entrepreneurs in trying to either level up too quickly, scale up too quickly, not chasing up their debtors, etc. Or even the entrepreneur being too focused on admin and not on the strategic direction of the company. Sound familiar? That's why I've hired Ntabuleng, my EA, because I need to focus on research, not on admin. Ntabuleng, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
That's Ntabuleng. And I then found myself as an entrepreneur as well. My entrepreneurship journey started off as a side hustle that managed to pay to the point where it was matching my investing salary. So I'm lucky in that I already proofed a concept before I jumped ship, okay? Not so many people are lucky. However, what lessons can I give you from my experience with entrepreneurs? 1, honey, stop thinking about an industry or a sector. Think about arenas. I have people asking me, you wear so many hats. You're like a personal finance consultant. Then the next thing we see you on radio and TV commenting. Then the next thing you're grocery shop financial inclusion. Then the next thing, like, who are you and what do you do? Boo Boo Kitty, let me tell you. The reason you don't understand and can't box me is because you're thinking in terms of industries and not in terms of an arena. You not have realized, when people were asking me for career guidance, I was like, huh? When people were asking me, oh, please help me choose a master's thesis topic, I'm like, huh? When people are asking me even in terms of like relationships and navigating or negotiating their career, with their spouse. I'm like, double harm. Why would you ask the one that couldn't hold her marriage? Then I realized I'm not actually in the financial sector. Why do people want to make money or preserve their money? If you do the why exercise, which is asking why till you can't ask why anymore, I realized that people are actually doing it because they want to get to a space where they're getting what they want. We make money, we invest to give us the freedom to get what we want. So when I was promoting this webinar and I was saying free financial consultation if you sign up, no one took me up on that offer. Why? No one wants a financial consultation for the sake of a financial consultation. They want a financial consultation so that they can have a plan to buy their first house. If I was offering a house, I think a lot of people would have signed up. That's an exaggerated example. Even a Mac camper. Some of us just want lifestyle. People would have signed up. So then I realized I'm in the business of helping people reach their goals, whether those goals are assets, whether those goals are furthering their studies, having a good relationship, whatever the case is. People want security. Money gives them security. So then I was like, okay, this is the arena I'm in. And that's why when I did this Insta Live yesterday and people asking about entrepreneurship and career, it made sense. And I built it into this webinar because ultimately, that's why you want to manage your money. Ultimately, that's why you want to manage your investments to give you the freedom to get what you want. So as an entrepreneur yourself, you need to start thinking in terms of an arena. Why would people want my product or my service? Why? Let's look at the case of Nando's. People think that Nando's is in the business of grilled chicken. They're not. Nando's understands that they're in the arena of conversations. Because think about it, why would people come to go for Nando's chicken over other chicken? It's healthy, but I can make it at home. But you have more fun at Nando's. Why will I have more fun at Nando's? Because you're having healthy chicken and you're having conversations with your friends. Okay, so we're in the business of conversations. We just provide the catering and the venue. That's why you'll see Nando's has the highest social media following of any food or beverage company in the world because they understand they operate in the arena of conversations and they've managed to monetize that and open up thousands of stores around the world. As far as Bali and Indonesia, this is a South African company that was started in the late 80s. So as an entrepreneur, lesson number one, what arena, not industry, arena are you operating in? Why are people going to come to you? What's the ultimate reason, the ultimate goal? Secondly, can we stop advertising? It's not cute. Why do you think on social media, most companies have lower followers than individuals and human beings? Because no one buys into advertising anymore. We buy into experiences. Why do you think the social media influencers are now being approached by companies to sell their products? Because the social media influencers don't advertise a product. They show how they're experiencing the product, and sometimes they review how they experience the product. So there you go. Sell an experience. Don't advertise. That's another mistake I made when I was promoting this webinar. I was advertising it. I wasn't selling an experience. And I should have known better because when I started my entrepreneurship journey, I used to put up, and I still do, put up financial content on my social media pages. So I'll do my money day money tip where I'm like, okay guys, let's check your credit score. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the link you click. This is what will pop up. This is what you'll need to measure. This is what you want to see. This is how you can remedy it if that's not the case. Without knowing it, I was giving people the experience of consulting with me. And that's how I got a following. And that's how I created opportunity for myself. So when I reflect, I realize I did it without knowing. But that's the lesson I've learned. So don't advertise. Let people experience either what you're offering in terms of a product or a service. And in that way, people will want to buy into it, to consume more of it. And then finally, monetization. Find a way to make every activity pay. For instance, when you look at my entrepreneurship journey, I was doing a lot of media commentary on finance, putting a lot of content on social media, just because I felt that, you know what, with the bank I work with, looking at high income individuals, high net worth individuals, it doesn't really feel fair. I want to share this information with more people. But the more I started sharing, I guess, the experience of consulting with me, the more people wanted to experience it, and I had to charge. It felt unnatural in the beginning when you're just like, oi, who's going to pay to come see me? But I charge, honey. I will send you an invoice. I'm not even shy, okay? Invoice number, bank details, everything. And luckily for me, I got into public speaking as well. Because with South Africa's economy and the realities facing us in terms of a potential sovereign credit downgrade, a lot of people are now taking cognizance of that information and those conversations that were previously reserved just for economists and like financial analysts, or whatever fancy word you want to use. So before, it was suited up men who spoke in bombastic language where you just like, oh, change channels, Jesus, save me, okay, take the wheel. Now, the normal man on the street wanted to hear, what does this mean for me? And that's where the opportunity for me came, and that's why I ventured into public speaking. Honey, I charge 5 figures for an hour, and I'm lucky again because that funds me in terms of the other avenues on how I make my money. How do I make my money? Public speaking, one-on-one consultations, referrals to my network of preferred financial advisors and wealth managers. I'm not going to prepare for a TV interview, get prime time on CNBC Africa or ENCA, use my intellectual property, my experience, my research, and then just refer someone to you because we're boys or we're girls or because it's all love. No, honey, I'm trying to make my money. If you're eating, I'm eating too, but we'll remain client-centric. Only if there's money banked, if it makes sense for the client, I get a cut of the commission you would have charged anyway. So I don't pass on my commission or my fee onto the client. No, whatever you would have been charged anyway, I just get a little bit of that for my family trust, honey. Because we build a legacy here. It's not a hobby. All right, summary of the 3 tips on entrepreneurship. 1, you're not operating in an industry, you're operating in an arena. If you're not careful, okay, you're gonna be like the cabs that didn't know that an app would disrupt their transport industry, Uber, okay? Number 1. Number 2, sell an experience. Stop advertising, Google, it's not cute. Sell the experience. Let people consume, okay, your product or your service. Let them experience it. And trust me, if it's a good product or service, they'll be coming to you and wanting to buy. Number 3, monetize. Monetize your activities. Monetize. Don't do things for free, honey. If you're doing it for free, either you're being a lazy entrepreneur or your idea sucks. Sorry. Let's move on to investments, which is probably why you're here. Now, I went to bed at 2:30 this morning, okay? Maybe I'm buzzing from the coffee, I don't know, but I went to bed at 2:30 because after that Insta live chat, I was just like, I don't know about investments in Ghana. I don't know about investments in Lagos. I haven't even been to Lagos. But then I thought to myself, but then how do you want to be an authority on the continent if you're not going to be able to speak to everyone on the continent? Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm still trying to be an authority, so let's find a way. So I prayed, I reflected, sort of between 8 and 9, and I was like, there must be a universal law or principle of investments that I can share with you and leave with you that'll help you assess your investment options. And investments, remember, are not just stocks or bonds or fixed investments. I was called to task on Insta Live. People were like, Sam, can you start talking about alternative investments as well, like property, like starting a business? And I was like, I will take that down. I will go back into my corner. Okay, I apologize. I made assumptions. But if we go back to basics and we look at what an investment is, an investment is any activity where you take your money or your time, inject it with the hope of getting a higher monetary compensation in return, right? Yes, so education is an investment. Property is an investment. Starting a business is an investment. Some would argue a relationship is an investment. I don't know. Can't measure the returns. I'd stay away from that one. Make your own money, honey, you'll be good. So if I'm going to come up with a principle for starting a business or assessing a business opportunity, assessing a stock opportunity, assessing any sort of investment opportunity, what would I use? So I was like, okay, cool. Let me have a look at what the current proposed or suggested investment opportunities are, or the popular investments around the continent are. So in South Africa, for instance, the most popular investment instruments are money market instruments, shares, and property. Straightforward. But in Zim, media. Say what? They're like, yes, invest in a media house because there are so many private radio and TV stations coming up in Zimbabwe. So that is the number one investment instrument. Lord Jesus, I have never assessed a media investment. How am I going to help people? The other one was agriculture and energy. And I was like, agriculture, okay, I can focus with that. I was like, energy, I was like, okay. Nigeria, apparently because oil has messed you guys up, fixed income instruments are where you should be investing. So like bonds, safe instruments. I was like, okay, looking at those three countries and the three very different investment instruments that are being proposed, how would I come up with a strategy to assess them? I came up with something. Ntabeleng, I need you to help me, please. I've got a board. Let's see. Yeah, bring it closer, Ntabeleng. Bring it closer. Ooh. Okay. Ntabeleng, say hi to everybody quickly.
Hi.
Okay, so I decided, okay, I think the universal law of investments is that we want low risk, high rewards. Doesn't matter the instrument, we just want to make sure that we're getting as much out as possible and we're losing as little as we can. So then I came up with this matrix: low risk, high risk, low reward, high reward. Okay, so that's low risk, low reward, high risk, low reward, high risk, high reward, low risk, high reward. Now, ultimately, we all want to be round about there, where we are low risk, high reward. It doesn't exist, okay? That is some sort of nirvana, that even if you do have an investment instrument that is high reward and low risk, in terms of the laws of supply and demand, there'll be a lot of demand for it. And what will happen? Your reward may be stripped out. So what ends up happening with that instrument is that it tends to move to low risk, low reward. Okay? So this is wishful thinking. You don't find a lot of investment opportunities in there. You find that maybe with new products that come into the market, but then as the provider becomes aware that there is big demand, the reward starts dropping off. Now, in terms of investments, we also make the assumption that we are rational investors. Why the hell, Boo Boo Kitty, would you invest in something that is high risk and low reward? You wouldn't. So let's scratch that out. Where does that leave us? It leaves us with low risk, low reward, high risk, high reward. Now, what investors tend to do is that, okay, let's use the examples that we gave. Money market shares and property. Where would you put that on this grid? Money market, I would say, is medium risk, medium reward. There are a number of money market instruments. Not all of them guarantee your capital. Some guarantee your capital, some put in place like caps and collars and I don't know what other things. But money market instruments tend to be around here, around there. Medium risk, medium reward. Property is low risk, but it's also relatively low reward because your reward happens over time. Property takes time to appreciate. So you're sitting about there. Shares, I don't need to tell you. High risk, high reward. You can lose everything, honey. It sits about there. So what does investment philosophy and investment strategy say? It says, you know what? Try and get a balanced portfolio. And what investment managers do is that they'll take a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, but over time, you know, your financial investments tend to be medium risk, medium reward if you've got that risk appetite. Let's look at fixed income investments. In Nigeria, for instance, those are capital guaranteed, are relatively safe, but compared to other investment options you may have, they'll probably sit there as well. Low risk, low reward, okay? Let's look at the media industry in Zimbabwe. So has it been tested? Do you know what return you're gonna get? Is your money guaranteed? I would say, looking at the media industry in Zim, I'd put it at high risk, high reward. Agriculture, unless you've got that professional insurance for drought or something like that, and we know South Africa had a drought, Zimbabwe had a drought, I would say agriculture tends to be high risk, high reward as well. Energy sector, I don't know much about the energy sector in Zimbabwe. Those in the know could probably put it somewhere there. What's the lesson? What's the philosophy? Create a matrix for yourself in terms of risk and reward. Figure out where the investment you are looking at taking out or making sits on this matrix. And then here's the kicker. This is why I'm famous. Follow the price of gold. Why? Gold is a storer of value. Where there is a lot of uncertainty or volatility in the market, which are all ingredients for risk, okay? Then what tends to happen is that the price of gold goes up because people want safe assets, and the corporate investors are moving from there to there. Ooh, let me use another color. Not purple. They're moving down to there when the price of gold goes up. So maybe what you should be thinking is, all right, what factors contribute, okay, to the volatility or the risk of my investment? Should I be adding low risk, low reward to my investment portfolio? Should I be exiting this high risk, high reward investment if it sits there and moving here? Let's look at the price of oil in Nigeria. Nigeria is an oil-based economy. Volatility in the price of oil, or the price of oil being below $50 per barrel or whatever threshold they use, you start seeing that corporate investors are saying, invest in what? The low risk, low reward, because there's uncertainty around the price of oil. There's uncertainty. We're not getting the returns we want. We're not getting the reward, but we're sitting with a high risk commodity. So we're moving down. Okay. When the price of gold drops, okay, that means corporate investors, the global economy has a little bit more certainty, and they're now comfortable to go back there, because where there's certainty and where there's little volatility, risk is minimized, but the reward is, child, somebody's got the gym. I'm just going to point like that now. Point like that. So the risk is minimized or is quantifiable, okay? And therefore the reward is still there. You're maximizing on this position here. So when the price of gold starts going down, honey, it means that globally, okay, or generally, there is certainty in the market, and you can start working your way, let's use pink for good times, back towards the high risk, high reward section of your matrix. So I think in terms of an investment principle or framework, this diagram can help you assess your investment opportunity and how you should respond accordingly, and how maybe if you have an investment manager or advisors, you can sort of direct the conversation. So if there's one thing you take away from what investment should I choose, firstly, prepare your own risk framework and determine for yourself what you're chasing. Are you chasing reward, or are you looking to minimize risk? What inputs go into risk? Volatility, uncertainty, okay? So when things are going like this, you can't predict what you're going to get out. You can't predict how your money is going to flow. You can't predict if you're going to get your money out, boo-boo. High risk. If you've got appetite for that, go for it. I mean, with my investment portfolio, I've got 10% gambling money. And I haven't, no, I'm scared to look. I'm scared to look. What South Africa did, I'm scared to look. But 20% is short-term money. So it's sort of in there. And then 70%, because I'm a single mom, and you know, the boyfriend market is kind of dry at the moment, over here. In it for the long term, okay? So plot your investment opportunity along here and respond accordingly. Let's use my entrepreneurial journey as an example. My business is high risk, high reward, please Jesus. Okay? High risk because I cannot confirm for you how much money I'm going to make at the end of the month. I can't. Okay? High reward because if I get this right, we will get trust. Okay? Why do you think I'm drinking water out of my champagne glass? Part of my vision boarding. Okay? But if I see that there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, okay, people aren't going to book me to speak. Companies simply don't have the budget. People may not be able to afford to pay for my consultation fees. Because why? Uncertain markets, companies tend to pull back. Salary increases tend to be not as big. South Africa, what's been our response to high risk in the market? Increasing interest rates. So we keep that hot money that wants to go to safe economies. We're a risky economy, so our investors want a lot of return. And what happens? Interest rates are going up. You're paying more for your house, for your car. You're not getting the salary increase you're used to. When are you going to have the time to come visit Samke? You won't. So I watch that as soon as there's, in terms of my investment, my business, I'm sitting there, okay, and there's uncertainty in the market, my response should be to try and build in something that is here, i.e. a job, go back to corporate, which I'm not trying to do, please God, or have a hedging strategy to say, how do I guarantee my incomes? Which is why, because I've got an MBA and I'm smart and God is on my side and my gran is a praying woman, I've secured a contract with my old employer to create someone else, okay? The money I get is not as fancy, but at least it's guaranteed. So I've built in some of this in my business. That high risk, high reward, my corporate speaking, the 5 figures per hour doesn't always come, but when it comes, trust, we are eating meat 7 days a week in my house, okay? So now what I'm working on is trying to position my business in terms of the combination of income flows in the middle term, middle space. Medium risk, medium reward. Et voila. Woo, time. Okay, let's move on to the last one, women's issues. Yeah, child, women's issues. You know, yesterday I wasn't even trying to talk women's issues, but then it started on the Insta Live, we started talking about how, you know, as much as we're making money, as much as we, you know, we're going to school, we're earning our salaries, sometimes there's family obligations, like parents are expecting X, there's religious obligations, sometimes it is the spouse, honey, you know, you are being told how the money is going to be allocated. And I use my example to say, when I was married, we were sharing or contributing money into the house proportionately, i.e. 80% of your income, 80% of my income. Wait, let me just, that's not cute. Okay. We were allocating money in terms of proportions. So I made the example that my ex used to make like 4 times, 5 times what I made. So if he earns 1,000 Rand and I earn 100 Rand, I know that's not 4 times. I'm just using simple examples, don't be smart. If he earns 1,000 Rand and I earn 100 Rand, okay, and we're both contributing 80%, that leaves him with 20 Rand, no, 200 to do with what he wants, and it leaves me with 20 Rand. Boo-boo kitty, okay? If we are married and he is investing 200 per month and I'm investing 20 Rand per month, who's in a better financial position? Okay, so that's why I just wanted us to talk a little bit about the questions we should ask ourselves. You know, when I first submitted like my content to She Leads Africa around what I want to talk about, I said I want to talk about us asking ourselves who or what controls how we create our resources, i.e. how we earn our money, who or what controls how we control our money, who or what controls or determines how we direct our money. And you know what I mean? Like in terms of how you earn your money, are you getting an allowance from the husband or from a toaster? Okay. You are vulnerable. Okay? You are vulnerable. And you need to get to a position where you are creating more independence in how you create or generate your resources. Even an employer, if you are in a job, that employer determines how you generate your resources, honey, because if you're in a job that gets a bonus at the end of the year or the end of the financial year, and you've already made plans, honey, but your management decides not today, they're deciding for you how you create your resources. So how, no, my bad, who doesn't know I'm live? So I would say get to the point where, I swear my phone is on silent, get to the point where you are creating as much independence as possible in how you create your resources. The example of entrepreneurship, okay, is one where I know that if I put in the right amount of work, the right amount of strategic direction, I secure the right amount of contracts, I'm controlling how I create my resources. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. So if you are employed and you're happy being in corporate, why not start a side hustle? So that if you've got an investment goal of having 1M, 1.5M, 2M on your tax return, you can be like, all right, employer, I see you, I will make the balance because I'm getting that amount of income on my tax return. You know what I mean? Create independence in how you create your resources and how you direct the flow of your resources. Join a board. Join a board, honey. Make extra money. Consult something, okay? Create independence in how you generate your resources. Secondly, how we control our resources. When I hear a woman say, I don't know how it works, he just gives me the card. We just have a joint account and my salary goes in and he just gives me the credit card and tells me how much I can spend. It's not cute. It's not cute. Stop it. Please, please get independence in how you control your resources. If someone is telling you how much you should be spending and how you should be spending it, no, you need to see me, honey. You need to take my details. You need to Skype call me. I won't even charge you. If you tell me Samke, I need help to control my resources, I won't even charge you. It'll just be my duty to Jesus. Okay. Number 3, Number 3, how we direct our resources. Dear all Black parents, please just let us just enjoy our monies. Okay, it's a plea from me and all children of Africa. Please stop trying to impress your friends with our salaries because now you want a new lounge suite, because now Mam Dlamini from down the road is getting married and people need to know what time it is, so you must buy your new outfit because now it's Christmas, the family's coming and you want to fix the door. Why weren't you fixing the door, January, February, March? Why don't you join a stokvel to fix the door? Why must my bonus fix your door, ma? Please, parents, send your parents to this video, guys. Please. From me, Samke Mhlongo-Ngwenya. Please release us from black tax. Okay? Can we start directing our monies and our funds to where we decide? Okay? Religious obligations as well. I'm Christian, I tithe, but do you believe in it? Does it sit well with you? Cultural obligations. A woman's money should be going towards nurturing the home, nesting. Your money goes to cushions and curtains. Okay, his money goes to Naspers shares or British American tobacco. What do you have to show for your life's work? A cushion? I don't think so. Create independence in how you direct your resources, honey. Even in terms of debt obligations. Hey, even in terms of your car repayment, downgrade. Let me tell you, in case you guys didn't know, okay? This Boo Kitty at 25 was driving around in a Porsche. Yeah, my ex is kind of okay. I was driving around in a Boxster, honey. I was that girl. I now drive a Polo VW 1.2 TSI with pride. Why? Because it's paid up. And I ain't trying now, okay? Trying now. Pay a car installment. I don't mind downgrading everything to make sure that my money works for me the way I say. And if you think that you're going to judge me by the car I drive in terms of how well I've done in my career or whether I've arrived or not, then honey, clearly you haven't inputted her name into Google. I promise you, Google is killing the handbag and car industry. Why? Because I used to prove to clients that I'm a kick-ass banker by putting my Porsche keys on the table and my Louis Vuitton. Not anymore, honey. Now I'm just like, send you my profile. Boom. That's what's up. That's what time it is. So those are the 3 questions you're going to get in your worksheet. But after last night, I also wanted to expand these to how do I create multiple independent income streams? I want you guys to think about that for me. I don't want you to rely on one income source. Whether that income source is a job, grants, your inheritance, I don't care, toaster, husband. I want you to create multiple income streams, and I want them to be independent of each other, okay? Because why? When we have independence and diversification, we reduce risk. Remember our little matrix moving down to the middle, you know what I mean? I want you to create multiple income streams for yourself. I don't want this year to end, we're in March, I don't want this year to end and you don't have at least one additional income stream. Now, I don't mean go steal someone's man, okay, and get an allowance. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an independent, okay, income stream that you've created. Join the board, start consulting. Do hair, I don't care, something. 2, this one's such a sore point, guys, sorry. Whew. Is my and my dependent's lifestyle guaranteed? Is your lifestyle guaranteed? Okay, the way you live. If you're single, maybe. If you're married, is your lifestyle guaranteed? If you decided you want to leave this man, would you carry on staying in the same house, driving the same car? If you've got kids, would they carry on going to the same school? Please create independence around your lifestyle. Always be in a position to maintain your lifestyle yourself. If not, be in a position to understand what lifestyle you can afford. When I was moving out of my house, 2-story, 4 bedrooms, maid's quarters, okay, trying to rent something in the same area, you know what the landlord told me, the rental agent? He was like, sweetie, you know that your rent needs to be, your net income needs to be at least 3 times your rent. With the amount you're netting, the most you can afford in this area is a bathroom, honey. Okay, a bathroom. Cute. So don't do what she did, okay? Just understand on my own what lifestyle could I afford? Are you comfortable with that? If not, stop making money, honey. Okay. That's it. You guys are getting a worksheet. I said Q&A. I don't know. Do I have? Let me go to some Q&As. Let me know if you guys still want me to continue. Like, okay, let's see. Let's take some questions that were sent to me. By Hilda. Hey Hilda, let's take some questions that you guys sent through in advance. I think I did try and answer a lot of them though, just in while we were doing this, and how I directed the conversation. Okay, so let's see. What top 5 questions criteria should I use to pick the right financial advisor? One that's on my side and will give me the best results. Oh, okay, let's tackle that one. Questions for the right financial advisor. Firstly, are they registered with the requisite financial regulatory body? So in South Africa, a financial advisor needs to be a registered financial advisor, okay? You can check on the Financial Planning Institute, FPI, they should have an FSB registration number. So check they're legit. Start there. Like, let's just get the basics in place. Check they're legit. Number 2, check how they make their money. If your investment advisor or wealth manager makes money only on commission, once off for selling your product, but not on sort of growth in your product, in your investment, or improvement in your financial position, think twice, honey. You need to keep these financial advisors hungry, okay? Their success needs to be linked to your success. That's what's up. So ask them about their pricing structure. If their pricing structure is independent of the performance of your investment, think twice, shop around, find somebody else. Get a referral as well, and also inquire about the investment strategy. The investment strategy, is it high risk, high reward? Is it low risk, low reward? Is it diversified? And how have they performed, both as an investment house and also as the individual investor? How has that investment manager performed? What's their track record? Let's look at another question. I'm just picking at random, guys. I just started buying shares. How many shares should I aim to have per company? Let's go to our matrix. What's your risk appetite? What reward are you chasing? There is no right or wrong answer when it comes to investments. You determine how you should invest based on that matrix I gave you. Let's use an example. If your investment is sitting at high risk, high reward, okay, and the market starts showing volatility, all right, what shares should you buy to bring in the low risk, low reward element into your portfolio so that you hedge and end up at the medium risk, medium reward overall? Okay, so that will inform what companies to buy in and what quantities to hold. My matrix is bomb fresh. Like, I don't know how to trademark this. How do you balance the income you get from a permanent job that you're doing and a side business? Do you focus on one and fully invest your time, energy, and money on that? How do you balance the income you get? Do you focus on one and fully invest your time? Well, I would say focus your time and energy in your job so that you don't lose it, if I'm understanding your question correctly. And I think you know what the balance is. The reason I became an entrepreneur is that there was no longer a balance between my job and my entrepreneurial endeavors. I was matching my income, and I got to the point where I had no leave. I had to start declining talks and start declining income generating activities because I didn't have leave. So I was like, I love you guys, but peace, I'll catch you on the other side. Catch me outside. How about that? So I would say the balance for you comes in terms of seeing where you're getting reward for your time. Where are you getting reward for your time, okay? And proof your concept. I was doing my side hustle for a year before I left. In fact, just over a year. Proof your concept. Yes, create multiple income streams, but no, do not jeopardize your job prospects or your performance. Do not jeopardize your performance or your prospects of getting a bonus or maximizing your income from your job, okay? And remember, if you've managed to negotiate with your manager to be able to do a side hustle, which you must declare, please. I don't want anyone using their job because of compliance issues. Declare. If you've negotiated that, then you want to stop performing at work, guys. Like, no, don't slack. Don't be deadwood. It's not cute. Okay? You don't know me if you're deadwood. Tips to pay off your bond, credit card, overdraft. Tips to pay off your bond, credit card, overdraft. Start with your most expensive debt. How much interest are you being charged on your credit card? I heard that you don't know from here. I heard it. Why don't you know? I don't understand. Do me a favor. Go through all your debts, and I want you to write down, list them: bond, car, credit card, overdraft, store account, whatever the case is. And I want you to, on the other side, put down the interest you're being charged. Start with the most expensive one. The end. I told you, it's not difficult. Like, I'm going on for another 5 minutes. Is that okay? Okay, hold on. Is money market the best option if one wants to grow the investment quickly in a short period? If so, what are the risks? And which facility offers the best option in South Africa? Is money market the best option if you want to grow your money in the short term? Now, let me tell you something about that matrix again that I gave you. High risk, high reward is usually short term. It's a very active investment space to be in because you need to be trading, you need to be on the watch, and also even if you're investing in a sort of high risk business, you need to stay close to that investment if it's high risk. So it's usually short term that an investment will stay high risk because businesses want to move into a medium risk, if not a low risk profile. Investments, if they're high risk, companies want to create some sort of certainty so that they move to medium risk or even low risk, but maximizing the reward side. So in the short term, you're looking at a high risk instrument. So I'm glad you said money market instruments. If you want to make money in the short term, the best bet is to speculate on the stock market. That's your best bet, but you could also lose it all. So if you're looking at money market, I would say you're looking at a more medium risk instrument. And how do you maximize your profits? Well, again, you need to be very active in the management of that money market instrument. And before you even enter into a money market instrument investment, you need to know what the exit consequences or clauses or conditions are. Because some investments will lock you in, honey, and you just need to write it out whether they're giving you the yield you want or not. And remember what they always say in their adverts, past performance is not an indication of future performance. T's and C's apply. We are a registered financial service provider. They've covered themselves. Basically, if Alan Gray says, oh, we've consistently achieved 20% of the past 5 years, there's no guarantee they're going to give you 20% in the next year. Okay? Money market instruments are what? Unit trusts, near cash instruments. Okay? So what is the best service provider for money market instruments? I'd say just go with one of the top guys that you're familiar with, especially if you're starting out. So Old Mutual, Sanlam, Alan Gray, PSG, Investec, Standard Bank, everybody has money market instruments. What you want to do is find out what the risk is, what the projected return is, if they can, or if they can't project the return, what the past performance has been. And then I want you to plot it on a little diagram. And then I want you to decide how long you're going to be invested for and what your threshold is for exiting that investment, i.e. if I'm getting only 6% after 6 months, I'm out. If I'm getting, I want you to decide that, because remember, with investment philosophy, investment behavior rather, we want to minimize our losses, maximize our profits. So what do we do when an instrument is not performing or an investment is not performing? We stay in it longer with the hope that it'll start performing. That is not rational behavior, boo-boo kitty. And what do we do when an investment is performing, a share is performing? We don't sell out and realize our profits because we've got hopes that it'll keep on growing. Why? Stop it, okay? Be impartial when it comes to your investments. So before you invest in your money market instrument, find out, 1, is it from a reputable financial services provider? 2, what has the performance been? What is the projected performance? 3, how easily can you exit and re-enter if you need to? 4, where does it fall on your risk-reward sphere? It's actually a square diagram. Where does it fall in your risk-reward paradigm? How long do you want to hold it for? It's 7 minutes past 2. I'm tired of talking. My throat is dry. I've had fun. I was very nervous, but I think I could do this again more often. Please get in touch with me on social media so I get to address more of your questions. Please get on the link and get the worksheet. The worksheet is very day-to-day. What we did was very high level. The worksheet you'll see is very day-to-day. And thank you to the She Leads Africa team. Thank you to Hilda. Girl, I know I was on you all day, every day, because I was nervous. Thank you for being fantastic. So lovely chatting to you this morning. And lots and lots of love from South Africa, Johannesburg. I love you guys lots. It's been fun. Please get in touch with me. Let me know where you're from, what you found interesting, what you felt I could have added. Critique me. This is the only way we're going to get better, honey. As women, as Africans, we tend to be very apologetic. No, honey, she's trying to go global, okay? She's trying to be a beast. She's trying to be the Susie Orman Carter Knowles of finance. So please give full, honest feedback. This is really about helping you guys and empowering. And yes, I enjoyed it too. So it's been fun. Lots of love. Bye-bye. How do I go out? Tell me later.